Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Know Your Gear QA 190. This is episode 190, closing up on 200 episodes. Hope you guys had a good week. Mine was pretty good. Let's see, a couple things announced. So obviously, if you're new to the live show, if you want to ask me a question or start a subject, please start it with a question mark first. That way I know you're talking to me, because some of you guys like to talk to each other. That way I know to look for it at least. Also, if you're watching the rebroadcast, you can go right to any subject that we talk about or question by going down to the index and just going right to it. Or you can just stream it as a podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio and you name it. And let's get started. I hope everybody had a good week. Let's see. I'm looking at everybody right now. Martin says, "Hey Phil, is the mahogany Parker fly for sale?" Yeah, I don't think you'd want to buy it though. When I say yeah, it's for sale, it's like no, I'm not intentionally trying to sell it, but I mean, if somebody wanted to buy it, I guess, you know, I know very few guitars are like not for sale. But I mean, they're crazy now. It probably have a heart attack if I told you what I thought it was worth, or especially if I told you what I think it's going to be worth. All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, quick shout out to the moderators. By the way, all the moderators from last week, I did get your emails. I forwarded to my wife for the custom shirts. I talked to Ben yesterday briefly as a text, and I forgot to respond to all you guys. I was just more of trying to make sure it got delegated correctly. So I just sent it straight to my wife. So I'm sure she'll reach out to you guys if she needs shirt sizes or anything. Let's see. All right. And I know I have a couple super chats, but I'm just kind of scrolling through to see what came up first and see if there's anything worth talking about. Let's see if it... Simon's got a crazy question. How do you decrease sustain? I would imagine if I was going to decrease sustain, it would be, I would lower the action to where well, there's two ways. You could lower the action, and as you lower it, the strings will slowly kind of kiss the frets a little bit, and they will not get buzzy. I mean, that will eventually happen, but just at the very beginning of it, it'll kind of decrease the sustain. But you can also put mutes on the strings. If you think about the old Gretches from the 60s and stuff, there was all kinds of guitars that had mutes that would lightly touch the strings and kind of dampen the strings. That would kind of kill out the sustain a little bit. So that's just some of the things I can think of. You guys are crazy. All right. All right. What's nice is I'm doing this, as you can tell from my shop today, something different. So it's a little bit different for me in the regards of the screens I'm looking at. When I mean screens, I mean they're tiny. I have a tiny, I think this is 15-inch screen, where I'm used to like a 30-inch screen, maybe even bigger than that. I'm not sure how big my screen is upstairs, but it's huge. It's definitely 2 or 3 of these. So, okay. Okay, let me go. Martin Leahy did a super chat, and I want to address that. It says, he said, "Hey, fix my Martin X series. Thanks for the advice." Martin and I had talked, not the company, but Martin Leahy and I had talked about his guitar and his cracked bracing. He was debating on whether he should do it himself or do the repair, have it repaired. And I suggested do it himself, and he was definitely up for it. And he did a great job, it looks like. He says, "Since it's unfinished, and it is susceptible to humidity, can you suggest a way to seal the wood?" Like I said, I'm not a finish guy. That's not really my thing. That guitar doesn't currently have a finish now. You can spray a sealer on it. I wouldn't if it was me. I would actually just go online real quick and look up what Martin suggests or other acoustic guitar manufacturers suggest as a sealer for it. Like I said, you can use gunstock oil. That works really good. Heck, you can use F1 oil too from Music Nomad. It will work great for that. I've had great luck with that. Ever since I've been using that stuff, I've found like another application after another application for it. And that was a suggestion for one of you guys, by the way. Somebody out there in YouTube land suggested the Music Nomad F1 oil. And I was going to get some. And then when Music Nomad, well, it wasn't Music Nomad, when American Musical Supply earlier this year asked me if I would check out the Music Nomad kit, the whole thing, I asked if there would be F1 oil in there because I was curious, and there was. And I've been using it up ever since. In fact, I think I'm almost out. I was thinking about getting the bigger bottle this time. Okay. What else do we got? Hold on. Let me go back and refresh. I think that's the problem I'm having. By the way, I'm a little concerned today, so I apologize if anything goes wrong. I had set it up to run a hardline, and I'm not hardline. I'm on a Wi-Fi, but I'm on a satellite Wi-Fi. John Doe says, "Hey Phil, love the live hangouts. Thanks, man." Says, "I think about buying a Mexican Strat, Robert Cray model, hardtail. That is a great model. I love hardtail Strats. Do you think the actual build quality has decreased due to COVID and high demand?" No, you know what? That's a great question, and that shouldn't be like exclusive to Fender or anybody like that. Is the higher demand coupled with lower employees, lower amounts of employees able to work at the same time, plus, a lot of new employees, all this stuff going on. What I think is it's not, yes, it will do, the quality control decreases. In other words, I think there's going to be more mistakes that get out. I think that's going to happen. But if you're looking at a new one, here's the great thing about it. You buy the new one if you don't have your way to put your hands on it, which I understand, because that guitar is like $900. I mean, it's a rather expensive. You guys don't know, it's made in Mexico, but it's still a $900+ guitar. Buy it for somebody reputable like Sweetwater, or a dealer, a mom and pop you can trust. Somebody on Reverb who's got a great history. But buy it from somebody reputable. Get it. It's great. It's great. It's not. You understand, it's got to go back until you find a great one. It's just part of the new world of ordering online. It's just part of it. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it is what I'm trying to say. Be aware of it. You're aware of it. Well, I'm aware of it. There's going to be issues. And with that, my suggestion would be, and just laughing because I'm thinking about a situation this week with repair I'm doing where parts were supposed to get to me. They were shipped from Tempe to Gilbert, and they're on their way to Illinois right now. So it's going Tempe. I don't know if you know where Mesa area is, Phoenix, Arizona, but to explain it the best, I think a lot of people can relate. It's like they had to ship it 12 miles, and now it's going to the other side of the country and then back. Anyways, what I'm saying is COVID's messing things up. So with that Robert Cray guitar, you might have problems. So that's where you want to mentally be with this. Order it, but be aware that it may be a little bit harder of a process now because of the fact that you might have to return it, exchange it for another one. Or try to find somebody who's willing to inspect it before it goes out. That's always a nice idea too. Josh Smith says, "Phil, my Strat with an all rosewood neck, do I got to do anything, oil, etc., to the rest of the neck? When I bought it, it's kind of smelled like it had finish on it." Yep, they do. But curious, what do you do to yours? You know what? One of my guitars, I have 2 rosewood neck Strats. One I did nothing to. The other one I used fretboard conditioner, and I used the Lizard Spit orange oil that they use. But that's just because, like I said, I usually always use Lizard Spit or Music Nomads, where I've kind of landed now. And I just conditioned it like I would condition the fretboard. Just rubbed it all over and let it sit, and then wiped off the excess, and it was fine. I haven't had a problem since I've done that. Yeah, you can do that. You just condition the look. The great thing about a rosewood neck is it's just like having a rosewood fretboard. It's the same. You're just going to have a bigger slab of it. And as far as I know, on the ones I've seen and the ones I have, there is no finish on the rosewood necks from Fender, so you should be fine. Jeff Parker says, "Merry Christmas." We said Xmas, but I assume it's the same thing. Says Phil, "Thanks for being one of the lights in such a crappy year." That's too kind of a compliment, but I appreciate it. I think the only credit I could take is it's nice to have this weekly hang. And but I don't get credit for that. We all do, because we're all hanging out. It says, "I look forward to it every week, still broadcasting next week or the week after, ? Yeah, that's a great question because next Friday lands on Christmas. And so the question is, do I do it at 3 o'clock on Christmas Day, or do I pick like the Wednesday before Christmas Eve or the Saturday following? I'd love to know you guys' thoughts. I really don't have a, I don't care. We're not doing anything for Christmas. So, we're not doing anything this year at all. No family's coming over. We're not going to family. And to be honest with you, for no particular reason whatsoever, we did not decorate this year for Christmas either. And it's more of just work. I've been working so much. It's just, I haven't been there to help. So, yeah, so I don't have a problem doing it on Christmas Day. I don't. But if anyone has a suggestion, like should I do it the Wednesday before or the Saturday after, I'd just put it in the comments. But yeah, I'd be definitely up to do it on Christmas Day. Same time, just do it the same way. Talk about stuff. Yeah, John says live at Christmas would be great. Yeah, let's do it then. So next Friday at 3 o'clock, same time. My time, 3 o'clock my time. We'll do it the same time, same everything. And like I said, if you guys can make it great, if you're spending some time with your family, as you should be, then you'll watch the rebroadcast. Sounds good to me. Okay, what else? What else do we got? Hold on. Matthew's question is, do hardwired hand-soldered electronics sound better than plug-and-play PC board electronics? I don't think so. You know what I mean? That's one of those, here's what I think. Components, and again, this is just one man's opinion, so to speak, but I'm going to go with it, okay? I think components make a difference. So if you ask me, just using a better capacitor, does that make an improvement? Better potentiometers, better wire? I believe it does. I'm not going to argue how much, okay? Some people are going to say it doesn't. Some people are going to say it does. I think it does. And then after that, we can discuss how much of an effect it has. However, that being said, I don't think how they get mounted matters a whole lot. And I have friends on both sides of the fence. I have friends that say, hey, no, man, there's a big difference between a coupler and a piece of solder and how it connects. And I'm just not, I'm not into it that much to the point where I will sit there and, compare two components like that. So I don't really think there's a big difference. Nothing I would put my own time into to try to kind of venture to experiment with. And as you guys know on this channel, I've done some really silly things to experiment with. That's just one I just don't think it'll ever convey any kind of any sound difference. So I don't think so. So it's just like hand-wired amps. Everybody's like, oh, hand-wired amps are better than PC board-based amps. And the best story I always kind of go to for this is Marshall. And Marshall has a hand-wired plexi amp, and you can watch a video on this. And again, things change. Excuse me, I got something like on my eye. Things change, okay? So what I'm saying is watch the video. That video might be outdated, but there's a Marshall tour video that's a great video on YouTube. I'll find it and put a link when I index this. And they go through the tour of Marshall amps, and they show you the difference between like a plexi that's PC-based, where they use wave solder board, the wave solder everything on, and then the hand soldered board. And in the video, they show that using the exact same components for both. Well, then I'm like, well, so one's more expensive because somebody spent more time hand wiring it. He kind of alludes that it's just more expensive because it takes longer to hand solder them in versus having a machine wave solder them in. And at that point, I don't know if I would care. You know what I mean? Usually to me, when I think hand wired electronics, usually it's one of two things in my mind for quality-wise. It's going to be either A, it's not just hand-wired, but it's upgraded somehow, like maybe higher quality. And sometimes it just means more expensive, not better quality, but at least more expensive, higher quality, some kind of justification of price. The other thing that's interesting is that usually it also implies not only are the components a little bit more expensive, but that they usually do it more like it originally was done. And that's usually the argument. The argument is, boutique amps are really just the old cheap amps we used to like, made the way they used to make them, not the new way they make them, right? Somebody said that somewhere, and I loved it. It was like, so basically, I don't really buy into all that stuff. I have both, and I've just never really cared. If it's done right, it's done right. That's basically the way I'm going to put it. Is it? So there you go. Hope that kind of helps. It's always a tough question because I can find instances where you can justify both sides of that, the hand wired versus clip-on or mass-produced type stuff. But you're never going to get me to pony up my cash for the hand wired stuff over it, as long as it's the same components. A Shinnery Kid said, sold my SG and CE, so he's talking about his PRS CE, which is his bolt-on, for a Core 594. It plays and sounds great, but not as ballsy as my Les Paul. Yeah, okay, with the Burstbucker 1 and 2 pickups, I would agree with that. How do you think the 594 tone compares to Les Paul? So here's what's crazy about that. You're absolutely saying exactly what I think about those guitars. The 594 has the 5708 LTs in them for low turn. and the 5708s would be like the classic 57 Gibson pickups in that world. And I think, as you guys know, or maybe you'll find out now, I'm more of a Burstbucker fan than I am the 57s. And I love the 57s from Gibson. That's another pickup I like, but I prefer the Burstbuckers. I would pick the Burstbuckers in my guitars over the 57s. And I would pick the Burstbuckers over the 594's 58708 LTs. And I like those pickups as well. So yeah, I think that's what you're noticing is those low turn 5708s are smooth and creamy, but yeah, no balls, no punch. That would be the way I would explain that. If it was me, a Shinnery Kid, I would suggest getting a nice clear boost pedal. That's how you fix that problem. I'm going to tell you right now, stuff like that. Look, good pickups and bad pickups, that's an argument, okay? But these are not bad pickups. 5708 LT pickups are great sounding pickups. They're beautiful and rich in harmonics, and they just balance well, and they're great sounding pickups. So to me, when I have a good sounding pickup on a guitar, and it's not doing something I like it's either pushing the amp a little too hard or it's pushing the amp not hard enough, well, then that's something I can use either a EQ pedal or a boost pedal to either reduce or push. So I would bet if you were to take a nice, just like I said, clean boost, something just really easy. There's tons of them out there. Pick your choice, out there. Put that in your signal chain and don't, like I said, no more of this crazy go to 10. Just, find the unity gain. Find the point on the boost pedal. When you turn it on and off, you can't hear a difference. That's where unity gain is. On almost every pedal, unity gain is where essentially you set the pedal so that when you turn it off, play for a second, turn it on, there's no boost in volume, there's no cut in volume, there's no real change in EQ. Mostly we're talking about volume than EQ, and then once you found the unity gain on the boost pedal, then go ahead and turn it just a little bit above that, just a little bit, to see, not to let the pedal take over the sound, but to kind of mimic what would those pickups sound like if they had a little bit more output, just a little bit. And I think you'll be really, really happy with them. I think that will really do what you want it to do and give you the best of both worlds. That's what I do with my lower output pickups. As you guys know, I told you, one of my favorite guitars, of course, is my Mira. The Mira pickups, especially on the ones I have, are very low output pickups. In fact, the lowest output pickups, I think I'm trying to think. I don't think I have a guitar that has a lower output than that guitar. And even my 59, what I'm trying to say, my 594, even my, which I sold, but my Core 594, I had it for about a year and a half. And when I would plug in an amp with my Mira, the volume would drop on the Mira. That's how much lower output that was. So the Shinnery, think about that. You think yours doesn't have any balls. The Mira has no balls. Like Yngwie Malmsteen says, has no balls. So the Mira has no balls. And so I use a little boost pedal to fix that. Or an EQ pedal, and I always kind of have that in there. And sometimes I use compression too, but that's a salted taste thing. You know what I mean? I like the way compression works, and I like the way it sounds. So you can experiment with what you want, but I would definitely try a boost pedal. Data mouth? Yeah, hold on a second. Okay, says, hey Phil, I want to install a tuner extender on my Tele. Any specific brand you can recommend? I don't know what a tuner extender is. Why do I not know what that is? Now we have to search on the internet. Hold on. It's one of those things. Sometimes when you ask me a question, guys, I have no idea what you're talking about. Sometimes I see it and I go, oh yeah, of course. You guys all just patiently wait. I have no idea what that is. Okay, so here's what I think it is. And okay, so the tuner extender, what I think you're talking about is the mechanism that lets you drop D, right? Drop the string into different tunings like E to D. And I know that there's a couple out there. You know, I think now Grover makes one as well. However, just for the record, I've never tried any of the ones other than Hipshot. Those are the only ones I've purchased myself and installed. And I have a video showing you know, how to do the Hipshot one, and that's the ones I use. So that's the one I recommend. But only so you know, it's kind of a horrible recommendation because it just comes from, that's my only experience with them. So that's what I would use because that's what I use. So I just want to thank Matt for doing a super chat for no reason. Let's go back to the main page. Let's see what you guys are talking about. There's 700 of you now. Yeah, Leland saying drop tuner. Okay, you know what? I never thought, for some reason, I always just call it a drop D or drop tuner. So yeah, and he's right, actually. It looks like officially it's a tuning key extender. So he's saying it correct, and I've just always been saying it the way somebody said it to me when I was 16. Half the stuff I say when somebody's like, that's not what it's called. You got to understand, I grew up in Tucson, Arizona as a whole. Now, I'm from California originally, but I grew up in Tucson, and we didn't have the internet as kids. And so your friends would just call stuff. Actually, it's not even friends. The older, cooler guitar players used to call things, you know. That's why Godin, I say Godin is Godin, because even the person who sold me my first Godin called it a Godin. So sometimes that's just where you're stuck. But I would check out Hipshot. I like their quality. They make good stuff. Aljon, hey Aljon, how's it going? He says, dig the workshop as your broadcast space today. Thanks, buddy. I was excited and also sad. Here's why I'm excited and sad. Right now, I'm gonna push this button. I go away and I come back. What would happen right now is there's a camera overview to show you, so I could, if you ask me a question about guitars, I could take you this way. However, somehow during the build out organization, the cable that goes to that camera is missing. And although all my other cameras, including the one I'm using today, which is this is just a GoPro we're using today, is just this typical cable. That camera had a special cable that I couldn't find. So next time we do this, I will have it set up so that we can change angles and stuff. The whole point of this is if you ask questions now instead of me, before going, here's a neck and here's where it goes. I can just go, look, this is guitar strings. I can actually touch stuff. Here's a winder. Here's a drill. I don't know why, but you get the idea. So we can do stuff. So that's the whole point. Now, and that's the plan is going forward. The end of the month will always be in this shop area, and I'll have the multi-camera set up. And then when you ask questions, they can be more about guitar repair and maintenance and stuff like that. And I can do that stuff. That's the plan. But the plan failed today, and I still decided to go forward with it because I don't know. So, all right. Okay, Sean Brooks says, Phil, I'm having trouble wiring up a Gibson humbucker and a Fender Tele. Red equals hot. That is correct. If it's a Gibson humbucker, yep. Black to ground, white and green together and taped off, but the pickup seems to be stuck in single coil operation. That does not sound right to me. I would think it should be black and white together, red to hot and green to ground. That sounds right to me. But I always cheat. I have a chart. So, Sean, that is my assessment. It's probably right, but I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, don't worry. It's super easy, buddy. Just Google. In fact, if you just Google, I'll put a link in the index too, because the one I use is great. There's somewhere on there in the internet, there is the color codes for every pickup manufacturer on one chart. And usually it's printed and hanging on the wall in here, but like I said, when we did the change of the room for the build out, things got moved around. So I'm still getting back to normal because my space is smaller now. So I had to confine everything. But that's what I would do. Just Google it. Google the Gibson wiring diagram. And because that doesn't sound right. And also you're saying it sounds coil split, doesn't sound right. Well, it sounds like it's wrong. And that's my assessment of what's wrong. Okay. Banana Groupie says, what would you recommend for trying to start to wind pickups? Well, to wind pickups, you know, you can buy a winder, okay? If you're going to buy a winder, and please bear with me because I'm only going to take you down the winder road for a second. If you buy a winder, the one I'm pointing at, this is the Mojo tone one. That's the best one. Some people like the Shatton winders. And I say best, I should say favorite, but it's amazing, and I got no complaints. And I own 2 of them, and they're great. So that's the one I recommend. However, it depends on how serious you want to get into this, okay? Winding pickups for me, like almost every repair person on the planet Earth, became a necessity, right? You get into a situation where you're just going to have to wind a pickup. It just happens, you know what I mean? And it's cheaper and faster than having somebody else wind it. The more you can, when you do repairs, the less you can outsource to somebody else, the more money you get to make. That being said, you can wind a pickup with a drill. You can literally take a drill, a cordless drill like this. You can literally make put a cap on it, put a pickup right here, stick it in a vise, and wind pickups. I have my first pickup I ever wound was with a drill, and it was fine. And I counted winds, and I went slow, and it sucked. And once you kind of go to these better winders that count the winds for you, where you can set them and do all this stuff, man, life just gets really easy. And you know, start using tensioners and just really, you know, kind of experiment out there. It's just a better experience. But it's tough because here's what I can tell you, and this is going to be a silly thing to say, but please, you know, bear with me, everyone. If you're ever thinking about winding pickups for like a hobby or for fun or getting into it, here's what I would suggest. Go fishing. Now, if you went fishing, you don't need to. But if you haven't, go fishing. You know, buy the license, get a fishing pole at the Walmart, wherever local it is, just go somewhere cheap and go fishing for the day. And at the end of the day, if you thought that was a fun experience sitting there watching that wire, then you'll like making pickups, and then go buy pickup stuff. Making pickups is very, very rewarding, and it is very, very calming for me. It's right. In fact, I like I said, I started winding pickups out of necessity, but now having done it, I would have totally done it as a therapy move, because for therapeutic reasons, it's about as calming as it can get. So I highly recommend if you're looking for something that's fun and calming. And then here's the easiest way to start, by the way. Go ahead and get yourself like just a single coil set, you know, kit, right? And a winder, and just do it. And like I said, you could probably buy cheap winders. You could probably do all kinds of stuff. My camera is beeping at me. I hope we're not losing feed. We're losing feed. Why are we losing feed? Hold on, everybody. We might have to switch cameras. Hopefully you can still hear me. Okay. All right, little change of venue. Told you guys it was the first time out. You guys can verify. You guys can see and hear me. I think you guys can, because everything looks fine on mine. So looks like I need to check cameras. It's fine. All right, but you guys can see me, right? Verify this so I can keep going. Somebody? We can. Thank you, ER. I appreciate it. Like I said, I knew today we were going to go hit the ground running with a little bit of technical difficulties, but like I said, I needed to start knocking this out because this is something I want to do. Somebody says focus. If it looks grainy, it's because I switched to a cheaper camera. I'm now on the, although here's my, hold on. There. Okay. So like I said, bear with it. Let's see. Mitchell says, did I get an email about Zagger? You mean from the company Zagger? I have not. Well, then again, I wouldn't know. Let's be fair. There's just no way. I'm barely getting the 10% of emails anymore at this point. Okay, so what else? Hold on, let's see. I want to get back into it. I know, low resolution. I know, guys, you're going to have to deal with it because we had to switch cameras. Okay, so let's go back into some super chats. BK said, thank goodness it's Friday. Music Man Access EVH versus Peavey Wolfgang versus EVH Wolfgang. So basically the question is, which is better, the Music Man Access or EVH or the Peavey Wolfgang or the EVH Wolfgang? To me, they're three totally different guitars. The only thing I think they have in common is the shape. And I mean generally the shape, because the Access even is a different shape to me. Having played all of those, you know, and owned a bunch of them, it depends. To me, the Access definitely has the smallest neck. The Peavey has the thickest neck, so they're just different. They're different guitars. And if you end up liking one or not the other, it's not. In my opinion, it's not so much because one's better than the other. It's because they're different. I like Music Man's quality more than the other two manufacturers as a whole, but that's not why I would say that one's better. Just that neck is really, really nice. But I really like my Peavey, so you know. Sarang says, the electronic parts affecting tone. I changed out import pots and switches in all my guitars to CTS ones, and the difference is real. Well, yeah, of course, we know it's real because, well, hold on, let's get to this. It says, but I would argue hearing loss in treble frequencies majority affects the perception of the part's tolerance. Okay, so Sarang is, yes, I'm agreeing with you. Basically, that's what I experienced too, is that cheap components essentially basically make everything, they lose all the high frequencies. They cut it, you know, you don't see them coming through as nice. You see them, you don't hear them coming through. So yeah, better components give you more clarity and more highs, in my opinion, but it's subtle, but it's there. Absolutely. Nathan says, hey, what's up? I think he said, hey, oh, hey, sup. I don't know what that means. You know, Nathan, let's out Nathan today. So if you guys know who Nathan is. Nathan is my good friend. He's been on the podcast before. And of course, some of you guys have seen the video where he made me that beautiful Paul Reed Smith guitar that took 2 years to make. Well, Nathan is no longer in Maryland. That's right. He's no longer working at PRS. I don't know if I'm okay to say this, but I'm going to go with it. I don't, Nathan could text me, stop now. Anyways, better have my phone ready. He decided to move back to California. So he moved back to California where his family is, where it's sunny, and cost of living is a little lower than, and that's saying a lot because California, you know, has high costs, but it's a little lower. Where he lived in Maryland, where the PRS factory is, it's on the island, and it's very expensive. So he moved back to California, and he is now working for the Fender Custom Shop. That's right. So just so you guys know, he's now working actually specialty custom shop. So like Jackson, Charvel, EVH. So now he's working there. He's he obviously loved PRS. He worked there for 4 years. I'm just conveying, you know, what stuff we've talked about on the phone. And but you know, he decided to go to California because, like I said, it's closer to family and it cuts the cost a little bit. And I know what you guys are thinking. California, I always see somebody. California, lower. Look, if you've ever been to Maryland, you got to understand where the Paul Reed Smith factory is. If you've ever been there, it's on an island. If you guys know anything, I don't care where an island is. If you've ever been on an island, everything's more expensive on an island. You know why? because it's on a freaking island. So it's very expensive to do there. So anyways, what is it? So that's what, just letting you know. Just letting you know. It's just, I thought it was fun information. I know a lot of you guys are interested in what Nathan's up to, and he's pretty excited. He started there. He's already officially started there doing work, and I'm sure we'll get to hear about it one day on the show. At least I hope to. And it's fun, and I'm excited for him. It's another chapter in his life. You know, it's a pretty impressive resume there, right? 4 years at Paul Reed Smith, and now at Fender Custom Shop. It's not a shabby resume. Good job, my friend. Let's see. Hold on. Amanda said right on. I'm sure he's seeing some of you guys' stuff. Yo Craigst says nice. He was able to stay in guitars. Look, guitars are in his blood, man. He's gonna stay in guitars. But yes, it is great that he gets to stay in the guitars. But Nathan is a true blue guitar freak, like all of us, maybe even more than some of us. and yeah, he was definitely gonna stay in the guitar world for sure. But like I said, it's onward and upward, right? Very exciting stuff. So, Superjet 113 says, "Where's Ralph?" Ralph's working. And then Mitchell said there was an article about Zagger Guitars donating a bunch of guitars to local schools. That's cool, man. That's really cool. Most guitar companies donate a lot of guitars to schools, and I think it's always been a smart business move, and it's obviously good for the communities. It's a nice thing to do. But that's really cool. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Monty Hall said he's just checking out. He just, what's he saying? Tonemaker. At Tonemaker. Oh, he's talking at Tonemaker. I didn't look for the question mark first. All right, so hold on, I'm just scanning through, guys. It's like I said, this will be interesting going forward. I am going to have to figure out how to lay out these screens a little better for me on my end, because it is tiny compared to my old world. Maybe I'll have to bring a bigger monitor downstairs in the shop. That could be funny. Sarang says, workspace looking fly. Phil, happy Christmas. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I like the new shop. You know, it was nice today. So the new shop, and I'll be brief, but the new shop is really about temperature control, right? The problem is that, like I said, in Arizona, it's pretty great temperature. It's great weather, except for about 3.5 months a year, and technically 4, but let's say 3.5 months a year. It's just god awful hot. Other than that, it's fantastic. So working out here was great, except for during the hot months, but I had what's called evaporative cooler, or we call it swamp coolers, like at least me and my buddies do, but it's evaporative cooler. It's just basically, and works perfect, because I don't work in the middle of the day. I work in the morning, and if I have to come back, I'll do it in the afternoon. And the problem is it's loud, and I couldn't record during that. And I know I've told this story many times. So I made the shop smaller, walled it in differently. I insulated it so that we could put AC in here. So I have AC. The reason I'm telling you the story again is because the AC is also heating. It's heating and cooling, right? And I didn't need heating, so I was like, I don't want heating. I just need cooling. And today was the first day when I came in here this morning. It was 40 degrees outside when I came in here this morning, which some of you guys are going to be like, who cares? But to us, like to me, that was freezing cold. It was cold in here. I was working, but like I feel cold, so I turned on the heater, and it heated up so fast because the room's small. It's 12 by 13. So man, it was really nice. It was a nice. It was nice. So I just want to share that. I want to say it because it feels good being able to have temperature control. All right. Let's go back. We have Julia. Julia just did a sticker. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's like a super chat, but you get a cool little logo with it. Thank you so much. Litve said, did someone forget to hit the link button? The goal for Christmas, holidays, whatever, is to top this in $1,000 in real money. Cool. I have no idea what that question means. Did someone forget to hit the, I think he means like button, but I could be wrong. The goal for Christmas, holidays, whatever, is to top this 1,000 in real. So, oh, I gotcha. Okay, so basically, Lit Face just saying that, to hit the like button, and he's just kind of saying, supporting the channel with super chat and stuff. Very, very thankful, guys. Mighty Guitar Mods, great name, by the way, says, how does one get their grubby mitts on a set of Abbeys for a Stratocaster? Also a gold TRC for a Rick 12-string. Thanks. You know what? You can find Abigail. So he's talking about Abigail Ybarra pickups, I'm assuming. And there's some on my local Craigslist. You see them up on eBay, and you see them on Craigslist, and you see them on Reverb. I see them all the time. That's where you can kind of get some for sure. Okay. Douglas says, hey, Phil, I just bought a PRS Silver Sky, and I was curious, what would you upgrade on the Silver Sky if you had to? So that's a great question. I was going to upgrade my Silver Sky. I was going to take the bridge off and put a new bridge because I want to put the actual PRS bridge on there instead of the Strat style bridge they put on that. And then I was going to put a mini humbucker, like a narrow filled in the bridge, and change out the tuners. And I still might do that. So but I don't know. You know what I mean? The problem is, remember I said, if you like a guitar, if you love a guitar, mod it. But if you don't love a guitar, don't mod it. I really like that Silver Sky. But the problem is that means, I like it. So modding it, to make it a little better is a good move, except for the fact that I really like it the way it sits. I'm a little afraid to mess with it. But if I was going to mess with it, I'd put the actual PRS bridge on it for no particular reason. I don't know why. More probably an aesthetic thing. But that's what it's supposed to do. It's a $2,200 guitar. It's supposed to be great because it's $2,200. So you shouldn't have to do anything, hopefully. Reggie Wooten, what's up, Reggie? He says, Merry Christmas, my friend. Happy New Year. Both of my Sire Larry Carltons have arrived. Pictures to follow. Awesome. I will definitely be doing a Sire review. What I've been doing now is I have now a format that I like, that I've been following, if you guys haven't noticed, where I've been picking, I don't know how many videos. I'd love to say every 3 videos, every 5 videos, but it's really not like that. It's just generally like that, where I'm picking things that I know you guys want. You know what I mean? You're interested in. So I'm just buying those guitars and then just doing the videos, and not worrying about if companies want to send out something or stuff like that. It's a little too hard for me to track down companies and see if they're interested in sending out a product, and you know what I mean. It's just a lot, you know what I mean, to do, and a lot of times it results in nothing. And so I'm just going ahead and doing that, and it's been working. So like I said, like when I did the Sweetwater, where I bought the Squier and I just did that, it's one of those things where it just works out. And eventually what will happen is I'll sell that guitar off and then take the money from that. And we thought about doing a giveaway, and then we really thought about it. And really the smartest plan is to sell the guitar off and take the money and do it again and do it again and do it again. And that's what we've been doing. So you'll see. So I wouldn't be shocked, Reggie, if you see a Sire guitar on the channel soon. Chuck in Music says, hey, Phil, new guitar week. Oh, I got a new Epiphone Rivera. That's a great guitar. Says, I'm now addicted to mini humbuckers. I am always been addicted to mini humbuckers. I'm thinking about using them in a future project. Can you recommend a good one for $100 to $125? I like DiMarzio's mini humbuckers. That's what I'm currently using in one of my guitars right now. I really like them. Those work great. I used to use the Seymour Duncan ones all the time. Those work great too, but for some reason I'm onto the DiMarzio's. And so those are the ones I recommend because those are the ones I'm using right now. That's what's in my Somnium guitar. Rock Daddy did a super chat for no reason. Say that twice fast. Rock Daddy did a super chat for no reason, or for a great reason, to support the channel. Thank you, buddy. Okay, let's go back to the main page, what you guys are talking about. All right. Mark wants everybody to know not to forget the like button. So if you guys want to do that. Frank Hudsick says, are Dylan Talks tone pickups worth it? Any tried them. So he wants to know if anyone's tried them. I have not tried any Dylan Talks tone pickups. I have only had, I think, one brief, short email interaction with Dylan, and it was very quick. And other than that, I've just maybe seen a video or two of his. And I really like him as a personality. He seems really, really cool as a guy, but obviously he's very knowledgeable. That's the easy part. There's no question that he's into what he's into and he knows what he's talking about, which is great. My experience is usually that people like Dylan are going to make good product, because product is usually a knowledge-based system, right? I love this analogy. I'll kill you guys with it until the day the channel dies. Ingredients are important. You know what I mean? They just are. But the chef will dictate how good the meal will be. So, I can argue that, using this type of wire versus that type of wire versus whatever is important. It is, and which magnets are important, and all that stuff's important. But the chef and his knowledge or her knowledge will really, really make the meal much better. So in this case, from what I've seen, Dylan just seems like he knows what's going on, and I'm sure he can make a great product. Now, that's my assumption. I've never tried one of his pickups, so usually smaller builders, as you guys know, it's tougher for them to do promotion stuff and send out pickups. So a lot of times like that, I'll try to buy those type of pickups or those guitars. In the past, I've done products where I've bought that stuff. But my problem right now is the opposite of that. The pickup series videos, I have 3 in the can, so they're good, ready to release them. You won't see one for at least a week, because there's 2 videos coming out before the next one in the videos. So maybe that's something. Maybe I could just go on his website and order a pickup, maybe 2. I don't know. I'll have to see. Like I said, again, let me know what you guys think. If you guys haven't, check out his channel. So he's I get the impression he's friends with Dan from Guns and Guitars. And if you don't know Dan from Guns and Guitars channel, that's 2 channels you need to check out, which is Dylan Talk Tone and Dan from Guns and Guitars. Great channels. And they're essentially channels. I want to say, and I mean this with no disrespect to anyone ever, you know what I mean? I can only tell you what I think about myself, and then I look for like kindred spirits, so to speak. I look at my channel as infotainment. I think that their channels are infotainment. I don't think of myself as like a hardcore review channel where everything's just like, I'm going to review a product every day, 365 products a year. I look at it as like infotainment. I'm trying to find stuff that's entertaining. Maybe you could learn something from. It's kind of, but I want to sneak it in there. And they are definitely, in my opinion, channels like this, where it's about teaching you something, but also it's about having fun. Have some fun. And if you learn something, that's the what do you call it? That's the beautiful. I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's a way to say this. That's the beautiful accident. You learned something, but you had fun, right? So there's my opinion on that. But also I want to thank you for that comment, because sometimes I forget to think about stuff like that. I know Dylan's pickups were one of the pickups I wrote down as pickups we need to check out on the channel. So knowing you're interested helps me gauge your guys' interest and stuff like that. Hold on a second. Max, Mustard Man, right? Okay. Says, hey, Phil, down tune on the guitar versus down tune via the pedal, like a ditch check whammy or EHX pitchfork. Is there a noticeable difference in sound? So yeah, there's 2 things going in play. One, there's always, when you talk about any kind of digital stuff, there'll be a latency issue, okay? And I personally think that the pitchfork and the Digitech and a lot of those pedals, man, we complain about them now, like, oh, there's a little latency there. But I mean, come on, it's so insignificant that, you know what I mean? If you're on stage, you wouldn't tell. No one would tell, right? But in your, at home, when you just feel like trying to validate the $150 purchase, you're like, I don't know, seems a little slow. So there's a little latency there, nitpicking it. Sound-wise, I always thought they sounded a little, I want to say digital or fake, right? But here's what's funny about that. I also thought that about the Variax and when it down tunes as well. And one night, I should have done a video. It's one of those things where like, why didn't I turn on the camera? One night, I started comparing my real guitar down tune to the digital ones, and They sounded the same. In fact, I thought my real guitar sounded all digital and fake. So to answer your question, it's definitely the good enough category. How about that? That's where I would put that, and especially in today's pricing. It seems like the whole world is our oyster. It's literally $100 pedal that does something crazy like down-tuned your guitar with almost no latency and a good tone. It's magical. To tell you guys, I use the what do I use? I use the I don't know which one I'm using now. I'm using the TC Electronics one, but I'm using that one because I had the Nerd Whammy tone print when I made that tone print for TC, and that's what I put it into. So that's why I have that pedal on my board for that reason. But I love the Digitech one. I love the Pitchfork. Victor Olive says cheaper to just down tune. You know what? That's of course, because down tuning's free. I'm hoping, Victor, right? You're not paying anyone to down tune your guitar, right? So it's free to down tune. I understand that, but usually, Victor, the argument that I would assume when somebody says, "Oh, I'm looking at a Digitech pedal for down tuning," it usually means they're looking for a time issue. In other words, they don't have no time. You know what I mean? The next song down tune, or it's a case of, yeah, if you're a player that plays, and Victor, maybe this again, everybody's gonna have different, kind of situation they have to deal with. You might be playing 10s or 11s. I have friends that play 9s, and if you try to down tune 9s a full step, they get pretty sloppy. And sure, you could pull it off. I mean, it's a little buzzy and it's a little thing, but sometimes, man, when you go to bend, it's like just the silliest sounding stuff, and it gets a little messy. So sometimes down tuning with a pedal is a nice alternative. But yeah, of course, you can always just down tune, for free. So there you go. Let's see. And then Bud says, not for the one flat E song on the Floyd song. Yeah, exactly, right? Sometimes it's just, just click it and do it and have it. And I know some of you guys are in the comments are suggesting some of the processors and stuff, and obviously those all work too. Okay, so Rock Daddy says, hey, where can I get a McKnight mini guitar? Zims won't sell his. What pickups came in those? Great videos, as always, watch them. Sure. Okay, so you guys won't know what Rock Daddy's talking about, so let me fill you in. So when my daughter is 16, no exaggeration, I mean, literally none, literally the day my daughter was born, we received a container shipment of basses. I used to manufacture basses, and we were importing them at some point. So what happened was I wanted a guitar for my daughter. So back then we did it all. We designed them, and then we could have them made overseas. And so the problem was I wanted a guitar made for my daughter. I had one made for my son. I made one for my son, then we had one made. But my daughter, we had one manufactured, since we were having a shipment coming anyways of basses. The problem is, pretty much it works today, you have to do a minimum of 16 pieces. In other words, that guitar is 16 deep. So to get my daughter's one guitar, I had to order 16. So there's 16 versions of that mini guitar that I had made for my daughter. And yes, and if you saw it, it's a little strange. It's like a Les Paul, but it's really small, and it's got a little different shape to it and a little bit different. And yes, those pickups I did spec out, and depending on which one you got of the 16, we put pickups in them aftermarket into some, because I made a bunch of the pickups for my daughter. So where can you get one? You would just have to find them. They just float around. Currently, right now, I think the way it worked was I gave one to my mother, I gave one to my daughter, and I gave one to another family member. And then when my mother passed away, obviously I inherited that one back. So those are 3. So there should be 12 to 13 of them out there in the free world somewhere. So I don't know how you find them. They're not worth very much. They're very inexpensive. And they're obviously, when you see them, you're like, McKnight, what brand is that? So yeah, that's where they exist. So there you go. That's how. I don't know how to tell you how to get one. I'll never make them again. So they're just out there in the wild. Okay, so Ray BBJ says, will a blender pot in place? Okay, this is going to be tricky. Will a blender pot in a place of one of the volume pots on my jazz bass properly blend the pickups? My current 2 volume pots act as on-off switches. Yes, okay. Switches when I'm trying to blend them. Pickups, I want full. You know what? That's a great question. And I'm trying to remember, because I've done that in the past, and I'm trying to remember what we ended up having to do. So what he's saying is, so if you guys, for bass players out there, there's a few. The bass players out there, on a jazz bass, you're going to have 2 volumes and a tone control, each pickup then wired to a volume control. And what happens is sometimes, as you know, when you turn one of the volumes off, well, no, if you turn on, let me go back to his question, because that's where it should be right. Hold on. See where it gets fun? Will a blender pot, in place of one of the volume pots, properly blend the 2 pickups? It's going to be passive. It should work. It's not going to be as good as if it's active. I have done it in the past. So I understand the core of the question. I'll tell you, I had better luck when I just put a 3-way switch in there for me. So, you know, on a jazz bass. Some people don't like it because of the way it aesthetically looks. You have volume switch, tone control. But me personally, my jazz bass for years had a switch, and I liked it better than a blender pot. But you can do a blender pot as well. So Joe McKinney says, hey, Phil, favorite option for switching multiple amps into one cab? I don't have a favorite option for that. I will tell you what I would use is the Radial by Radial. It's a Canadian company that makes great products. They make something called the head bone and tone bone. Head bone, I think, is for tube amps to go into cabs. You can use that. I know Mark Tremonti uses one. And there's more fancy ones out there now in the market, but I don't use any of that stuff. In fact, I was just talking to a good friend, John, this week. He was talking about an amp switcher for you guys saw my rack in my closet upstairs where my amps are. I don't run any cab switching, no amp switching, any of that stuff. And he actually offered to let me borrow one of his. I didn't want to do that because I think I've been very clear. I don't really switch amps. I don't do that. For videos, I have to. Otherwise, at home, personally, for my own use, I don't go, okay, now my Fender amp, now I'll switch my Marshall, now this. I literally, I always have, I've been like this forever. I find an amp that I like, I play it until one day I just plug into it and go, you know, I'm not feeling this today, and then I plug into another one of my amps. And it's in rotation. So I always have a amp that's in rotation. And what I mean by that is I love the way it sounds right now, and I'm just playing through it. And then when I burn out, I either get another amp or I usually go back to an amp. And so that's why. So I have a bunch of amps, but I don't play all of them. There's no I don't blend the sounds of this one with that one. So you get the idea. All right. What do you guys, let me go back to the main screen. I say main screen. I hope you guys know I'm just jumping these 2 screens. I have you guys set up in 2 screens. Okay. A lot of you guys are really intense on this whole hitting the like button, engage for the metrics. Don't worry about that. You know, I think this channel does better than it deserves to on a daily basis. So I appreciate you guys trying to help me and stuff, and I'm very thankful for it for sure. But and I really appreciate that. But like I said, it's not the end of it's not the goal every day to figure out how to grow it. I just don't, like I said, I like anybody that makes anything. I don't like to make stuff and no one watch it. That's not fun. But most of the time, it's you guys are too awesome. Okay. Hold on, I'm just looking. Hey, my camera's making beeping noise. Okay. Hold on. Carl says, there is a guitar brand called McKnight Guitars. Yes, there is a brand of acoustic guitars named McKnight, and they are amazing, by the way, and they are crazy expensive. So if you guys haven't seen a McKnight, you could probably go on Reverb and just look one up. If you don't want to go to the website and look at them, they're probably $4 to $6 grand and a waiting list. If you guys don't know, there's a lot of these amazing luthiers that build handmade acoustics, and there's a McKnight acoustic that's just fantastic. So, Grumpy Mike Guitar says, "Hey Phil, have you ever rocked a stash or a beard, a mustache or beard?" Nope, never. My wife it says no go. Okay. Let's see. Hold on, guys. I'm just looking at some comments real quick. Okay. Hold on. I'm actually trying to read through a bunch of comments. Okay. I see Burgess got a question, but I don't quite understand. I'm going to give it a shot. It says, get tired of one, plug into another. Oh, and it's like you got a new amp. Okay. So he's talking about when I was talking about how I always play an amp at one at a time. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what happens. I play one and then I kind of burn out on it and then I find another one. Okay, so let's go ahead and this is from Frank. Frank says, thanks for the thoughtful answer, Mary Axmus. Oh, yeah, Axmus. I forgot about Mary Axmus. That's great. Instead of Merry Christmas, Mary Axmus. That's awesome. Guitar Guy says, change wiring harness in my Chinese Epiphone Casino as the first electronics mod. Took 5 hours. Might be in my head, but tone sounds more open now. Yeah, it's possible because obviously you would probably very likely use better components. Obviously, Epiphone guitars are trying to hit a price point, so sometimes the potentiometers and stuff are not so much are bad, but they're just not going to be the best, most expensive high-end components that they can put in there. It's going to be more affordably based. And so, don't feel bad. I find every time I got my hands on an Epiphone, because of all that circuit board and harness stuff, it ends up taking me longer to take stuff out and mod stuff in because of the fact that you're either going to decide to gut it all and start from scratch or try to figure out how to make stuff work onto that situation. And no, it's a little frustrating. I mean, I understand why they do it. It's faster and cheaper for them. But yeah, it's a little crazy. Jim says, he just super chat, says, Merry Christmas, Phil. Thanks for keeping us entertained this year. Thank you, buddy. That's a huge super chat, too. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, especially because I keep forgetting that, hey, here's the good news. 2020 is almost over. I don't know if it's going to be any different next year, but hey, at least this one's almost over. Let's see. Barry wants to know, would I try the cool Crimson guitar flamey head tattoo? No, but not for any particular reason. Like it's like, I think it looks great. I just do. I think it's a personality thing. I would love, to do that. I think aesthetically it looks cool. I love the way Ben Crow looks. But it's just, I'm such a different personality. I'm so kind of goofy. It just doesn't vibe right. Let's see. Davey Tone says, hey, when you build the Crimson guitar, Atlanta's guitar, so he's talking about the guitar kit I did for the Great Guitar Build-Off, did I have to do anything special to set the neck angle, or was it good to go from Crimson? It was absolutely good to go from Crimson. It literally glued in, and it was probably the absolute easiest thing I did. In fact, I actually remember this, and vividly laughing and thinking about the fact that it was faster and easier to glue the neck into that pocket than it was that if I had to drill it out and bolt it on. So it was super easy. Their kit was made really, really well. so you know. And that's kind of the problem I've had, so you know, is the kits I've done the Crimson kits. When you do the nicer kits, like what they build, and Warmoth, you know, when you try to put Warmoth stuff together, it's a very pleasant experience with very little frustration. When you build the cheapy kits, it's a lot of frustration. And that sometimes is fun too, but it's frustrating. I mean, that's part of it, is fighting things. Frank Holmes says, hey, Phil, what's the difference between a lace sensor and a noiseless pickup? Happy holidays. Well, lace sensors, so noiseless pickups in general, we're talking about, of course, single coils made to be noiseless, in general are still 2 coils like a humbucker. So they usually do 2 mini coils side by side like this. Let me go to see where I can see my screen. 2 mini coils like this side by side, or they put them on top of each other, so you have one coil underneath the other, and that's what's happening. Or sometimes they take a I don't know what you would call it, like a surrogate coil. They use another coil off to the side. Either way, you have 2 coils, and they essentially are making a humbucker be a single coil. That's really what they're doing as a whole, and that's a nice general way to look at this. Lace sensors came at it a different way. So the way a lace sensor works is it's a single coil pickup, and then what they use is they use these things called combs, where it's a neodymium magnet. There's one on each side that looks like a comb, and they create a different magnetic field, and that magnetic field is supposed to stop or hinder or reduce the actual pickup from receiving the 60 cycle hum that's coming through. This is a very layman's way to explain this, by the way, but you still get the concept. So technically, lace sensor pickups are not noiseless because you still get 60 cycle hum. It's just very, very minor. It's hard to hear. In fact, I always wanted, I'm looking, hold on, in my drawers of pickups right here. I have drawers of pickups. See, now we're downstairs. See, I have a lace pickup. I always wanted, and if anyone ever wants to sell one, if you have one, I would buy one, okay? If you actually have one and you want to sell it. So let me show you, if you will. So here is a mini humbucker, of course, right? And this is a single coil size pickup. This is, of course, when you see this, you think of mini humbucker, but essentially it's a single coil pickup, just it's mini humbucker in a single coil size, 2 coils side by side. Now, sometimes, like I said, let me just get a little bit more involved here. You would see a pickup like this, and it would be stacked. So you would have yet another one on top of, and usually have one for you to see, but not right here in the drawer. Lace, what I hate about lace and what I love about lace is they use black epoxy and they fill in the back underneath, and you can't see inside. But I've seen inside, and they did a limited edition run where this is clear and you get to see what I'm talking about. And I was not able to get my hands on one as much as I tried. So if anyone ever has any of those, the see-through lace sensor pickups that you'd like to sell, just reach out to me. I don't know why I would want to buy them, but I do. And I would love to show you what it looks like. So like I said, what I'm trying to say is this is the coil, and then on the side, this side and this side are what you, if you were to look see-through this white plastic, you would see these, what looks like, I'll say hair combs, but it looks like a rake, like something you'd rake your yard with. And there's 2 combs on each side. They actually kind of look like the Jaguar pickups that Fender make, but they are magnets. So it's a different technology. And lace is always, in my opinion, deserve credit for having something different than everyone else. But for some reason, they just never got their due. Okay. Joe 2007 says, hey, Phil, just wanted to know what I thought. He wants to know what I think of the Boss ME80. I always liked him. I had one forever. I think it's what I loved about it was it ran on AA batteries, and it was pretty much you could take it anywhere and go, and it had good effects. It's Boss. It was built like a tank and is relatively inexpensive. And as long as they haven't gone up in price and they're crazy now, I think there's still a great value out there. I haven't seen one recently. As far as I remember, you pick them up pretty decent price and they sound great. But V-Man says, late here today, I assume this is the new workshop. Yeah, it's not new. It looks the same as before. It's just smaller, and now I can do it anytime I want because I have temperature control now. That's what's exciting for me, not exciting for you guys. Hopefully. Well, not hopefully. Hopefully it's exciting for you guys a little bit, but it's really exciting for me. Okay. John Rudy just said Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, John. Stone Dome 93 says recently picked up an Ibanez RGM S8. The nut is absolute joke. Most every string binds. I want to get the nut replaced, but it's ridiculously big. Have you ever changed a nut this big before? Yes. Yeah, because especially on that, because it's obviously it's an 8-string, right? RGSM8. I want to look at the actual model. Give me a second. Let me highlight this and go to search. And hold on a second. I want to make this bigger. Come on. There we go. All right. Let's go ahead, and I think I can share my screen with you guys. Okay, allow that. Application window. Huh. Your entire screen? No, application window. That's what I want. Share. All right. Can you guys see it? Or are you just seeing me? Seems like it's not working the way I want. So hold on a second. Make sure I didn't lose you guys. Maybe I shouldn't be jumping around with the new system. Okay, I think I'm back. Told you guys today was going to be a little wacky with the new system. We're back. I see you. Okay, so I can't share with you, but essentially it's the Ibanez 8-string. If it was me, and I'm just looking at the guitar right now, if it was me, especially because it's at an angle and it's a pain in the ass, I wouldn't cut a new nut if you didn't have to. Now, sometimes I'll do it just because it's easier, you know what I mean, for me to do it. But I would say if you're having trouble, because it's at an angle, I would just go ahead and file and smooth those out and see what that takes you. So you can do that. First of all, don't be afraid to just look. If you think you're going to replace your nut, especially on a project like that, don't be afraid to do something as silly and easy as just take some fine sandpaper, maybe 800 grit, something really, really fine, and just just sand all the slots nicely. Make sure everything's smooth, and then maybe use some lubricant like Lubricant or Big Ben's Nut Sauce, or you can use a graphite pencil, anything you want like that, and lubricate those slots and see if that fixes the problem. That will sometimes be, sometimes it's just way more worth it. Otherwise, you'd have to cut a whole new nut. Yeah. Okay. Sebastian says, what are your thoughts on Kahler tremolos? I always like Kahler tremolos. You know, people have a love-hate relationship with the Kahler, just like Floyd Rose. I always like the Kahler bridges. I was branded, like most players, to Floyd Rose, as most of us were. It was the thing that was like more predominant. You saw more of them for sure. The only time I never really was in love with Kahler was early 2000s, the very early 2000s, when I would repair. Kahlers would make you nuts because people would bring in their guitars with Kahlers. They were always missing parts, and there was nowhere to get the damn parts. And so you just be frustrated all the time. And your only hope was either you had some loose ones around, or you go on eBay and find a part or here, or you could buy a unit and cannibalize it. It was really, a very frustrating time. But then, because Kahler went bankrupt and disappeared for many, many years, and then Kahler came back, and then all of a sudden you get parts again. It was great. So that was my only negative for me with Kahler, was when you couldn't get parts. But now everything's great. Barry says you can't have a Kahler without a mullet. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's kind of a funny thing. It's trying to think. My only thing, the thing about Kahler for me was I liked Kahlers, But I bought a guitar early on. I want to say, you know, probably about 5 years into playing guitar. I bought a guitar with a Kahler when I wanted a Floyd Rose. And for that time, I felt like I had the second place prize. And then I finally got a Floyd Rose and I thought, oh man, I like that Kahler better. So, you know, there you go. Max says the USA made ones are damn expensive. Yeah, of course. Well, the German Floyd Roses are expensive too. Yeah, of course. It's you know, here's the reality. The best quote I've probably ever heard from anyone when it comes to parts and guitars was from Paul Reed Smith, and I don't know where it was. It could have been on a TED Talk, could have been just on an interview he did once, but it was great. He said, "I can't buy parts in the U.S. for as cheap as I can have a guitar built overseas." He meant him as a builder. He don't mean us. He don't mean us buying retail. He's saying he couldn't buy parts wholesale. He couldn't buy the parts to make a guitar wholesale as cheap as he can buy a whole guitar overseas. And so I agree with that. Sometimes, you know, you're like, oh, I can have a guitar built overseas for $200. It's amazing, but it's $250 for a nice bridge. It's kind of a funny thought when you think of it that way. Phil says, I always thought it was pronounced Kahler. I don't know. I think it's Kahler. I could be wrong. Pretty sure it's Kahler. That's how we used to say it. Probably wrong. Wanna Beetle says going to McDonald's is expensive nowadays. Not if you get an ice cream cone. It's still like 30 cents. Except for the machine's always going to be broken. All right. Let's see. And then I don't know if it's a question. It's not a question, but it might be. Joe Harvey 84 says Glary hype. So I'm going to assume it's a question. He might be just making a statement because it didn't put a question mark first, but I like it. The Glarry thing is a funny thing to talk about for me because I've done now 3 videos of Glarry guitars, right? And I have one more to do. My last Glarry video will be up sometime soon. And it's my last because I did the bass, I did the Strat, I did the Tele, and ironically, there was one guitar I really wanted to do, and that's the one that got messed up and they didn't ship me twice. So there's one I was interested in talking about. And I liked talking about the Glary guitars. It really interested me because it always interests me when they make guitars either really expensive or really cheaply, because it's a conversation that always opens up a ton of interesting avenues, okay? And the Glary guitars are one of those things that crack me up because, Davey Tone says, Glary hype is proof that YouTube is effective marketing. Actually, I can show you why YouTube is effective marketing if you want to. If you want me to talk about that, because I have a different observation than probably you guys have. But Glary is funny to me because I haven't watched everyone's Glary reviews. So remember, I probably maybe, and I mean maybe, seen one other Glary review besides the ones I did. What I find interesting about Glary guitars is I've done 3 videos, and the last video, I know I beat the subject home because there's so many comments kind of making fun of me doing that. And I thought each one I was beating in the whole point of, it's interesting that these guitars are super cheap and that you can buy a super cheap guitar. And on a channel like this, and this is my opinion, I would buy a Glary before I'd buy a kit to work on guitars. Because it's $75 you can work on a guitar, and that's why I did the Glary when I redid it with stainless steel frets and did my own pickups in it and put a titanium bridge and redid the whole thing. And the main reason I did that was, again, not so much to show you that you could take a guitar and make it into a nicer guitar, was to show you that that's what I think those guitars exist for. They exist so that you can. Well, that's why I said my last video was obnoxious. There are only 2 reasons to buy a Glary guitar. You have someone who wants to learn guitar that A, you have absolutely no money. B, you don't want to invest any money because you just don't think they're going to do it. And at this point, it's just a really inexpensive, kind of Hail Mary, just see if it sticks. That's the one reason. So super cheap beginner, maybe. or you want to work on guitars. Everyone else who bought a Glarry guitar, I think they miss my point. I just don't know what if your guys are watching other videos and there's other channels going, oh, these are great guitars and they'll blow away anything. Look, all the Glarrys I've touched have been guitar-shaped objects that are impressive that they can make a guitar. In fact, I think I said best to a friend of mine. If these were just to hang on your wall for that price, it would make sense. Like if somebody sold a Glary, but and it didn't even play, and they said it's $75, and you just hang in your wall for looks, that I'd be like, yeah, that's funny. It's a good guitar to hang on your wall just to show you have a cool guitar, I guess, in your front room. The fact that it works was impressive. So I don't know if it's a I don't know if it's it's hype. The hype of Glary is what the hell do you say about a guitar at $65? And I'll say this again and again, everything on this channel, of course, on a live show like this, it's just my opinion, man. I'm sorry. If you disagree, you disagree. I love when people are like, yeah, they do sweat labor and slave labor. And like, so does iPhones. If you're going to do that argument, call everybody on it. Don't just call the people who are selling you the stuff they're cheap. Glary's selling stuff they're cheap. And I'll tell you this, to be honest, or not only to be honest, but so you guys honestly know this. We used to buy at the shop every year, year after year after year after year. Every Christmas, we would buy some off-brand guitar, Johnson guitars, AXL guitars, Sunlight. I'm trying to think of all the brands. There were so many over the years, brands, that we could buy these cheap guitars for about $65 to $75. Our cost, dealer cost. We would buy them and tag them for $99. Because at Christmas time, it was all about people walking in your shop and be like, I want a guitar, and they're only going to spend $99. So you would just buy them. So when people are like, how do they make a guitar for $75? Well, how they made a guitar for $75 is they're selling it straight to you instead of to the small mom and pop music store that they used to sell guitars to for that price. And music stores would tag them at $100, $110. Or 120, whatever. But the point is that it's a very cheap guitar, but I would never recommend anyone buy one as a legitimate instrument. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure you'll be sadly disappointed. So there you go. There's my official Glary speech, which is why I have one more Glary video, and it's literally titled "My Last Glary Guitar." And it's, we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail on that guitar. But here's a funny thing to point out. I should point out. I have reviewed, I don't know how many guitars I've reviewed on the channel. You'd have to go on the videos and look. It's, over the years. But I mean, lots of guitars. And lots of guitars have been sent to the channel. And some guitars had to be sent back. Some guitars get to stay. I have every Glary guitar that's ever been sent to me. I have used 100%. I have used every Glary that has been sent to me for something, for a project, for in the shop. I still have them. Isn't that funny? They've been, because you know why? For me it's and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going on a tirade. It's to me it was like a guitar that's super inexpensive that I can use for all kinds of things. I have one that I use just for testing things on. So, okay. Banana Groupie says, do I think Fender starter kits are good for beginners? I think starter kits are horrible but necessary. And here's why. I'm not going to change, what I say. So people have heard me say this privately, so I might as well just be public about it. I used to hate selling starter kits to people. I always hated it. It was probably, if you was one thing I'm probably 10 things, but if there was one thing I could absolutely say I hated to do, and anybody who's in retail in the music industry probably can identify with this. I used to hate that. I used to hate selling the kits. But you have to understand what a kit is. People come into a music store, especially back, when they used to go to music stores more often. Music stores, it's a very scary experience for the average consumer, the new consumer. You go in, it's not buying a guitar, it's my kid wants to get a guitar. And it's like, okay, and doesn't matter what the guitar costs. Then you need an amp, and then you need a cable and a strap and a gig bag, and you need some picks. And you can throw in those things, sure, but you understand this is a very expensive and most scary experience for a parent. And parents, as a whole, like to have a number. How much does it cost? Well, you know, guitar is roughly, and then the amp, and then if you get some lessons, oh, and then you get some picks, and don't forget, you need a guitar stand. It's very, very scary. So packaged guitars like that were all designed to be like $199 sold, $149 sold, and you have everything you need, and you go. What I learned about that selling the kits, was I used to feel like, well, not feel like, I still feel like, I feel like everyone I ever sold a kit to, if I probably sold 1,000 kits, which is probably high, let's say I sold 50 kits a year for 13 years. So we're going to say quite a few kits, right? So if I sold 50 kits a year, or, you know, I say kits, I'm sorry, box, you know, packaged sets, right? Starter packs. I probably know 2 people that I sold those to this day that play guitar. I feel like everyone I sold one to, I was just never going to see them again. And there you go. That's how I feel about those starter packs. I feel like, you know, they're a necessary evil, but they suck. Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. There's a great comment that I need to get onto. I know we're running long as always, but it's just great. It's this Stone Dome 93 says, imagine how parents are reacting to their teens begging for more packs of strings because they heard someone swaps theirs out every week. You know what? I can beat that. I remember my favorite experience was it was a parent came in and had bought a guitar for $50, $49 on Amazon. And it was a classical guitar and they needed strings and the strings were $12. And I remember I told them $12, and I've never had anyone probably in my life, in any situation, react like this. They went, $12? The guitar was only $50, right? They're like, the math doesn't even make sense. What are you doing? And I go, you know, and of course, you know, you can find maybe some cheap classical strings for like $7 on the internet. But either way, they were just mystified. They were blown away. Then how can strings be so much money? And I just remember their reaction being so intense. So yeah, it's a very scary thing for them. So, Jim wants to know if I tried out iron gear pickups. I haven't. Winged Wolf 56 says, what happened to the guitar I sent you? Didn't you send me? I'm pretty sure you sent me the Squier, right? If you sent me the Squier, it was in my fret polishing video. We've been using it as a guitar. The theory being, we thought it would be smart to use the Squier as a demonstration guitar for all the fix-up mods, right? And then at the end, we'd have a guitar that's all fixed up, right? So I used it in the polished fret video because now it's all got polished frets, right? So eventually, if there's a setup video on the Floyd Rose, we'll use that, you know what I mean? So we just use it. And then I've been waiting for a necessity to maybe do a pickup mod, something like that. And that was the thought, was to do all those mods, and then eventually we'd have that guitar to do something with, maybe give it away or you know, maybe raffle up for charity, whichever works best. So somebody was asking about a Zoom meeting, having this as a backdrop. Okay, let's go. I'm missing a super chat. Hold on, I just saw it. Let me grab it real quick. Mike wants to know, why doesn't Warmoth offer neck test kit with small cardboard neck blanks with different shapes of your choice to compare? I think it would be a cool idea, like a beer fight. I think this is flight, like a beer flight. yeah, I don't know why. Right now, I mean, here's the thing. The guy to ask would be Aaron at Warmoth. He's awesome. If you haven't checked out Warmoth's channel, Aaron's an amazing guy, and sometimes he does QA stuff, and he's really cool. But right now, let me tell you the Warmoth thing. I would be doing a video with a Warmoth product right now. I told you I talked to him earlier this year about doing something together. They talked to me, I guess, and even with that, when that didn't fell through, I was just going to buy something from Warmoth and do a video because I want to do it, and there's nothing. They're backlogged and they're busy. So that's the biggest problem with Warmoth right now. That's the crazy part about this, pandemic. All these companies are just slammed trying to catch up with all the orders. It's nuts out there. Greg, you're gonna get me in trouble. Greg Peterson says, do you have a special ventilation when you solder, and what kind of solder do you like? Greg, I hate this because certain questions, I pride myself always telling you guys absolutely the truth. And so this is the solder I use, and it is, I'm pretty sure it's lead based, man. I don't use the leadless, but let me see. It doesn't say. That's weird. I mean, it's just solder. I mean, I can't, I don't know, I can't see where it says anything else, but this is the solder I use. Ooh, look at that. I've tried different solder over the years. This is the one I ended up liking. So they come in this dispenser. You can see I have a bunch of them. I go through tons of them. So first of all, the reason I say this, I'm pretty sure it's lead-based solder because you can get non-lead and lead solder in the US. I think in Europe, you can only get no lead solder, right? Somebody probably knows better. If they live in Europe, they probably know what I'm talking about. But here in the US, you can get both. I don't buy the solder that's safer because it sucks to work with, and I hate that. So what do I do? Ventilation. I do have ventilation in the room. I have an air circulator, and I can open a door, to the outside. So that helps as well too. However, that all being said, I do have a mask. I have a little respirator thing, and I've told this story before, eyeglasses. That's what I have. Do I wear it? Not like I'm supposed to. What I do is I probably do the same stupid thing a lot of people do, and please don't do it. And if you guys don't do it, I'll try to do my best to not do it anymore either. If I'm going to solder for a second, I don't put anything on it. Just kind of make sure I'm ventilated and there's an a fan blowing the smoke away from me and stuff. But I really should always wear this stuff. It's So somebody says safer socks. It's. BC Rich 581 says, I use 80/20, but I solder like a blind heroin addict. So I am far from any sort of soldering expert. Yeah, a couple years ago, it came up to use lead-free solder, and I bought some. That's why I said I don't know what I'm using right now. I will double check, and I will let you guys know. I physically bought lead-free solder, and it was a pain in the ass to solder with, and I did the stupid thing like, well, then I'd rather just keep using what I like. But I'm sure it's a bad idea, and I'm sure when I hear myself say it, sometimes when I say stupid things out loud on the live show and I get to watch it later when I'm indexing, I go, I'm better than that. Guitar 1952 says, we've used it for so long, does it really matter now? Yeah, I think it does. I think like anything that you do that's bad for you, I think the logic is the less you can do it, the better, period. You know what I mean? My mother died of smoking, and I'm pretty sure every time she quit smoking and failed, probably gave her the ability to make it into her 70s. You know what I mean? I really do believe that. I mean, I could be totally wrong. I just believe it. I believe even though she quit smoking and failed and went back to smoking, I believe every time she did that, it just extended out the life that way. And I think that's how it works. And I try to follow that for my own life too. All my bad decisions, I think if I could just cut back on them or stop them from at least periods of time, it's not going to hurt me, that's for sure, to make better choices. Daryl says, who are we kidding? We used to eat pencils. Yeah, You know, I've had to knock it off. No, pencils have graphite now instead of lead, but you know, I had to knock off chewing on pencils. I used to chew on them like crazy. All right. Okay, let's go back to some questions. Justin did a super sticker. What does it say? It says, "You are amazing." I like these stickers. I mean, it's really cool of you guys to do that. Thank you. And then Mark did a super chat for no reason. Again, just supporting the channel, doing the tip jar. I appreciate that. Now, Master something, Machester, I don't know what's wrong with me, says, any tips and tricks on cutting a new nut? Also, any affordable nut files? Okay, so two amazingly good questions that I have actually been trying to deal with lately. It seems like more and more, this is a question that comes up, is nut files. So I was looking at the Music Nomad nut files. They're crazy expensive as well. They're $200 for the full set, right? I have, oh my goodness, where am I at? Where are they at? As I look in this drawer, please, I have no idea where I put, I would have swore, and I guess I'm wrong. No, I know they are. They're just probably not in the right spot. Give me a second, guys. Maybe this will pay a dividend if I find them. Maybe I don't. I would have swore I had a set of the new StewMac nut files. This is going to drive me crazy. Please bear with me as I keep talking to you guys and finding absolutely nothing. This is really strange that I don't have them. See, the reason it's weird is because they would normally go in my file drawer. However, I moved them out of the file drawer. So, yeah, I don't know where I put them. I might have put them in a box outside the shop. So, okay. I apologize, but what I want to show you was StewMac had sent me some nut files a couple months ago, maybe longer. Now that I think about it, it was about a year ago because it's when I did the video with Melissa, if you guys remember that video. The reason why I wanted to say that was I want to do a giveaway with those because as cool as they are, I still use my nut files that I bought a bazillion years ago from StewMac. This is my 56 gauge one. You can see I had to wrap tape around the handle because it broke. This is my 10 gauge, and you can see I broke the tip off of it. These are my nut files that I've had forever that I bought, I mean, at least 20 years ago from StewMac. I mean, God, had to be. And they sent me the new ones. And they sent me the new ones because I told you this before. StewMac, a lot of times when they send tools to me, it's not what you guys think. They're sending them because they know that the tools I have are old. And like if you look for this on StewMac, this doesn't exist. They don't make this file anymore. It looks different now. That's why I was hoping to show you the one that, like, I can't believe, I thought I put them in the top drawer. I should stop looking because I'm doing a live show, but I just feel like I need to find them now to show you. But, oh, I did. Haha, I found them. These are the new nut files from StewMac. I do not like them because this is different. This is not what I'm used to. I'm used to this. I have been honing my skills for 2 decades filing on nuts with this tool. And this tool, although probably superior, it's just different. And so to answer your question, I plan to do a video soon cutting a nut, going in detail about that, how I do it, not how to cut a nut. There's a ton of videos on how to cut a nut, but I want to show you guys, because I've done some in the past, how to do, you know, tricks and tips on cutting nuts, but I'm going to do one, and then I'll do the giveaway with those in that video. And then I'm trying to also, I promised myself, I'm going to purchase soon, very soon before I do the video, obviously, some inexpensive files that I've never tried. See, the problem is a lot of channels they'll go, here's some cheap tools you can use. And the problem is I don't use those tools. So I don't want to just suggest something that I don't really use. So I want to really, you know, so I want to try some stuff. So to answer your question is, I'm working on answering your question. I want to show you guys how to cut a nut, because yes, nut files are ridiculously expensive. And the problem I've had in the past, and I've always heard somebody always go, oh, well, use this, or you can get this file at Harbor Freight, or you can get this, you know, V file. Yeah, you can use anything. I mean, you know, we've all used something. I mean, everybody probably watching, I don't know how many people watch it right now. 10. I don't know how many. How do I not see in the screen? There's 900. 900 of you watching. I'm assuming that a big chunk of you, hundreds of you, have used the wrong tool for the job and made it work, right? That being said, you know, I don't want to suggest that. I don't want to suggest that you use the wrong tool to do the job. I want to figure out a way for you to do the job. And nut files, for some reason, I don't know what it is, man. There's certain things that they're just off the charts, ridiculously expensive. So I remember, that's why they're still in the plastic. I remember when they sent these, I go, oh, cool. And then I tried them and I go, I like my originals, but I put them right back in the plastic because I was like, these are super expensive and I'm sure somebody would enjoy those. Let's see. George wants to know what gauge pickup wire is behind me on the wall. So what's on the wall right now? It's all 42 gauge. There's different kinds of wire. My supplier for the bigger spools has run out thanks to COVID. So I've been buying small spools and anything I can get in certain areas. It's sucking. But 42 gauge. Usually you would use 43 gauge for like a Telecaster neck pickup. 42 gauge is the most common. The higher the number, so 43 is smaller in diameter, thinner than 42, but 42 is going to be the main gauge you use. And I'm usually doing some experiments with pickups. I do more experimenting with pickups than I do, you know, making them like production-wise. Benjamin, that's funny. He says nut files are the caviar Luther tools. You know, the first set, this set that I bought from StuMac, the first set of nut files, I remember it was one of those tools where I was like, this is ridiculous, but I need this. You know what I mean? And I bought them, and I just remember going, you know, they're great. I didn't regret, but like I said, I understand what you're saying, because I didn't regret them because, you know, that next week I get to charge people to do the work and get to, you know, use their money to pay my tools. Okay, that's sort of not poofed, whatever. I'm trying to read the name. Says, I asked this already, but I'll try again. Why not have a guitar with one string but be able to control 12 pickups? Yeah, they make that. It's called a keyboard. I don't know. Are these, oh, Davis wants to know, are these the diamond nut files? Probably, I would say so. The StuMac, as far as I know, StuMac only currently makes one set of nut files right now, and this is them. I remember, like I said, because when they send stuff like this, you get a picking list and you see prices. The prices were pretty crazy. But like I said, I'm used to using what I'm using, and which is StuMac, so I don't mind. You know what I mean? I don't think they'll mind that I, you know, I support them, and I like to support companies in the way that makes sense for me, which is to use the thing that I actually use, not just say try this product because, you know, they sent it. Ricky wants to know who makes the best fret leveling beam. Man, I don't find fret leveling beams to be that magical, so you know. I have many of them. Mini of fret leveling beams. So let me show you some stuff right here. So obviously this is the StuMac one. I don't think it's labeled. Oh, there it is, labeled StuMac. This one I bought years and years ago because, you know, I told you, some of it was because when I used to buy my tools, StuMac was like the only thing that existed. So it was like you had to buy from them. And sometimes because they made good tools, you know, you went with it. This is one of the things I bought, and I remember thinking, this is ridiculous. But up until then, I was using just a block that I made, right? And I I think they work the same. I could care less. A friend of mine, very good friend, who is a Roberto Van graduate, made this. And so this one, I think StuMac now has something like this that goes underneath the strings, but he made this and gave this to me a long time ago. And I've used his many times over and over again. And I don't even use it underneath the strings. I just use this a leveling beam. I like it as well. Really good. And then, of course, I have radius beams as well. This one is another friend made me this. This is machined out of aluminum, and it's he made the top. I think I've showed this in a video. And then we have plates, and each plate is marked. This one's a 16-inch radius. And then I have wood ones as well. And you can use these as radius sanding beams. It just depends. But to be honest with you, like I said, most of the time, if I'm leveling frets, I'll use this sucker. This is what I use most of the time. And you can use, it depends on what you're doing, right? Remember what I said, the analogy earlier about the chef and the ingredients? Everybody can argue the tool, right? Oh, well, when people, the argument comes both directions, especially to me on this channel. It's like if I use a nice tool, they're like, oh, you don't need a nice tool, you can use a cheap tool. And if I use a cheaper tool, they go, oh, you should get the real thing. Either way, somebody's going to tell you why you're doing it wrong. However, what I've learned over the years is I've done this so many different ways. I've done it the way somebody showed me. I did it the way, somebody told me was the right way. I did it the way I was, taught sometimes. Sometimes I experiment. And then over time, really what I did, and I stand by this to this day, and I'll never probably waver from it, I gauged everything off of my customer reaction. When the customer had a great experience, I did it the right way. And over time, I learned this is how I can get the result, because that's what it's about. When it comes to working on guitars, it's about results. Whether you're doing it at home for yourself, you're doing it for a customer, it's about results. You want the guitar to play great results, whatever gets you there. And I've learned that just for some reason, sometimes it's a laziness, sometimes it's idiosyncrasies. It's just the habits that you get. And so I use different tools. Let's see. Oh, Benjamin says the 6-inch file has been on back order. That's this file. Yeah. That sucks. Well, we're all there. That's why I said it feels like everything's on back order. Okay. I don't understand the question. Good old dude says, wasn't your bullet included in packages? Are we still talking about guitar kits? Kevin is best quote ever, which is, if you buy good tools, you only have to buy them once. Yeah, I've absolutely learned that, which is why, like I said, sometimes it's funny. All my tools, like I said, I've said this in a video recently too. This one is one I use every day. I bought this one because I think in this I was going to wear this one out, and then I use this time to time for some reason, but then I go, well, I still like this one. It's never worn out. I just keep using it. So yeah, I agree. So Ed Snowball says, is the StuMac fret press worth the premium price? I bought it. I have it. I love it. I use it all the time. But I will tell you, before I had it, what I was using was my drill press. So I just bought the plates. They sell plates. And it would help if I grab the right tool box. So they make these plates for the fret press. Okay, and so this one, see, like this, different types of plates, and I had they sell an adapter, and you can use your drill press to press them in, and so I found that worked fine for me for years, and then I used what's called a neck cull, which got my name on it. Anyone who has tools knows what this is about, right? You put your name on everything, so that if anyone tries to walk away with it, you can sit back here. Anyways, so you can show the cop when you punch that person. You're like, look, this is why. Don't punch people, kids. anyways, and I used that for years. And so the reason I'm telling you that way is the StewMac fret press for me was a luxury item. It was, I find it does no better. Yeah. See, and somebody says an arbor press better than a drill press. Sure, of course. It was just about, look, it's not that hard pressing frets in. Okay, it's not a hard task. Okay. You know, like I said, that's why I said I like those Glarry guitars. You pull the frets out of a Glarry neck and fret it, and then do that 2 or 3 times, you'll be fine, right? It's not the end of the world. Yeah, and see, the half-ton arbor press from Harbor Freight is super cheap. Exactly. That's why I said I bought the StewMac one because, again, it was a luxury item. I was like at a point, I was like, oh, I want to try it. It looks cool. It was pricey. I got it. I'm happy with it. Is it expensive? Probably. I don't remember what I even paid for it. So it couldn't have been that expensive, because usually if it's really bad, you remember and you curse the price. Yeah, super easy. Okay, so let me go back to grab some more questions. Okay, Justin did a super chat. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Northern Gringo says, going from 10s to 9s strings on a Strat. Thoughts? I have both. So, I on my guitars, period, I use, I'll use D'Addario 9s, or I'll use D'Addario 10s, or I'll use Stringjoy 9s or 10s, right? And I should do the logo forward. Those are the 2 brands I tend to keep buying and liking. And I have a Strat with 9s. I have a Strat with 10s. I have a Les Paul with 9s. I have a Les Paul with 10s. And it's not what you think. It's not like one's for practicing and one's for playing or any of that crap. It's literally like, for some reason, one Strat plays great, has 10s. I'm happy. I put 10s on my other Strat. It plays horrible, and the bends feel stiff. And I adjust the bridge and I adjust the action. I do everything. It just doesn't feel right. So I throw 9s on it. Fine. So I find that you should put whatever strings, like I said, your guitar, this is my quote, your guitar picks your strings, not you. And if you follow that philosophy, you'll be happier. When players say, I play 10s, I understand what they're saying. But when people ask me, what do you play? I always say 10s or 9s. And I even play different strings. I have 11s on one, some flat ones. But generally speaking, 9s or 10s. And sometimes I can move. In other words, a guitar that always has 10s, I'll put 9s and vice versa. So there you go. I need to update this last thing. And hold on, please. Okay, hold on a second. I'm scrolling. I'm trying to find out where I left off. Okay, Corey Duke did a super chat. I appreciate you, man. Corey Duke also had a question. It says, tomorrow is new pedal day. The big Bogner blue should be fun. New pedal days are always the best, right? It's you know why? Because a pedal is a great way to infuse a new sound, you know what I mean, into your rig. So yeah, I'm always excited for new pedal. In fact, I find new guitars, new amps are really great, but I always seem to get the most excited over a new pedal. It seems silly, but it's the truth. Stone Dome 93 says, any idea how to get cloudiness out of poly finish, specifically on a Squier Bullet? I do not know, but I do know somebody to ask, which was Nathan. So when I talk to him next, I will ask him, and if I can answer that next week, I will definitely do that. On that note, we have gone 2 hours as usual, a little long, but fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. A little different location. Sorry for the camera mess up. Like I said, I have to figure that out, going forward. But another thing that happened nice today is I also was checking to see if this would work. The other thing is I'm on lapel and not on in a podcaster microphone. And so that seemed to work out great too, because I wanted to be able to get up and walk over to the area where the other camera is and stuff. So be prepared. Like I said, going forward, this will be the new thing. This is the test one, but going forward, we'll start doing one every month from the shop. And I'll announce that one ahead of time so that we can focus the questions about guitar repair type stuff. And we'll do the whole show of anything, of course, but you know what I mean? I'll be able to switch the cameras and actually show you, demonstrate and stuff like that. And on that note, I'll let you guys go. As always, I want to thank you so much today for hanging out. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Till next week. And remember, just a reminder, we will be doing it at the same time, same day, Friday at 3 Mountain Standard Time on Christmas. I'll see you guys on Christmas. As always, thank you for your time and know your gear.